What is up, guys and girls? This is actually future Cadillac Dan here. The work you're about to see in the video, it's done. It's been done for quite a while. I'm just now kind of getting to editing things. Present time, this is after our truck wreck. So I do appreciate you guys all reaching out and getting with me. A lot of you guys care. Thank you. We're doing okay. Still waiting on insurance, but health-wise, we're good. I got a few things in the works for a vehicle. Nothing really set in stone right now. I do have a Cadillac set in stone. You guys will be seeing a video of that in the future. I've actually finalized all my steps in order to get this today, so that will be very, very soon. But anyways, we're going to do a partial on this, quote unquote. I've already done it, but this is going to be the video for the partial. It was previously recorded in front of a live Rooster audience, so you guys have that to look forward to. But yeah, we're going to show you how to do the front. You've pretty much seen how to do the rear on other videos, but we're going to do the front outers of the frame, driver and passenger side. And I've also got the belly, but I think I'm going to save that for another video. I'm not 100% done with it. I'm 99% done with it. I got some boogers hanging off the bottom of the frame, which you'll see in that video. That I gotta clean up. They're looking a little rough. Haven't felt like crawling under there. I have been mocking up the suspension. Little teaser there. I've been test fitting it, so I haven't felt like crawling under the car and cleaning up the booger welds. Yes, I do have booger welds every now and then. I'm not perfect by any means. But let's get into it. Like I said, driver side, passenger side reinforcements, kind of the same, basically as far as every car. I mean, same principle, you know. Hopefully it'll have enough tips where it'll help you out and get you through it. It's really not that bad of a job. Mainly just take your time. I use everything in a vise right here. That's what I use to bend it. That and my big wrench. My arm's in the way of the big wrench, so I'm not going to show you that well. That right there. It's a 24-inch adjustable wrench. Makes bending metal very, very easy. So if you're going to be bending metal, not a bad thing to invest in. But I didn't really use any heat other than just welding. You know, I used kind of nature's own heat, if you will. Just a bunch of clamps and bend it all into place. It's usually how I always do them. I did this one in one piece, which a lot of times I do break it up in two pieces and I hide the cut mark behind the A-arm. But this one I just kind of felt like doing a little bit differently. Worked out perfect. So let's dive into it, show you how it's done. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a bunch of subscriptions lately. Appreciate it, guys. So we're going to move on and get started on it. So I got my metal somewhat bent up. Just threw it in the vise. Tugged on it and got it bent where I want it. For the most part, I think it's at least close enough where I can put it up on the frame and get it in position. Got the frame all cleaned up. Went with a wire wheel and a flap wheel. About to throw the metal up there, start clamping it down and bending it in position and start tacking it, and hopefully it'll all go good. So this is phase one. I just kind of held it up there, pushed my knee under there, held the clamp with my other knee, tightened it down. That was the closest and easiest to get to fitting spot. The back of the frame there is flat, so I could kind of just shove my clamp up there and get it into position fairly easy. Once I tightened this up, I seen that the frame or the reinforcement plate was too far forward, so I threw that clamp on there and kind of pushed it all back. And so far we're lining up pretty good, but this is just kind of a tedious thing. You really got to put clamps in different positions and, you know, tap it up and down with a hammer. A lot can change with just a little bit of bending. You know, you see that right there, it's too high, but when you start pulling all this stuff in, it'll actually bring it down. I know it sounds crazy, like pulling that in will affect this. So you really just got to start messing with it and try and figure it out as you go. And if you mess up, cut a tack, you know, try again. It is metal, it moves. You know, even need be, I can still bend it. You know, as of right now, it can be taken off, and even when I start tacking it, if I just get in too bad of a spot where it's not moving, I can cut all my tacks, take it back off, and bend it again. Alright, this is version 2.0. I pulled it down and bent it a little bit more. I just wasn't happy. It was sitting too far forward. My lines right there didn't quite line up. So I put a little bit more of a bend right in there. I'm pretty happy with where it's at. If you watched my videos before, I always say you can never have too many clamps. And I really need some more clamps. These are getting me by pretty good. There's been zero heat used. You know, I've always said everybody worries about heat. I wouldn't worry about heat. I mean, I have no problem using heat. But for what I'm doing here, I mean, so far I don't need it. This is 3/16. I usually do partials in 3/16. You know, a lot of people say it's not as strong. That's true. But the main part, what we're doing here, we're not so much going that way. We're going that way with our strength. And I'm pretty sure that's just as strong as 1/4 inch, you know, going vertical like that. But everyone has their own opinion. So I've got the front pretty well in place where I want it. I think I might throw a few tacks in there. If you look back there, you're probably thinking, what the heck, that's way off. What it is, there's a big gap right here. I'm gonna start cranking that down. And as I crank it down, it slowly comes down more and more. That one right here is a big gap because that's concaved. And when I pull that in, it'll probably bring it up. But there's also a gap there, and that'll bring it back down. So as I said before, you kind of just got to play with it, you know, work your way down. And eventually, you know, if your template's good, your metal should fit. And you have to persuade it to fit. And it doesn't always go easily. You know, this one here is not too bad of a job. Most of the time what I suggest is getting your top flush as you can. You run you some tacks or maybe like an inch weld here and there to get a little bit of heat in it, and that'll make the bottom softer. The bottom is usually easier to get around with clamps. You know, the top you got your gearbox, your A-arm mount, all that good stuff on the top, your brakes behind there. So, you know, the bottom is a little bit more accessible. Plus you can get underneath it. You can see what you're working with a lot easier. So yeah, I try and get the top pretty well buttoned up and just kind of leave the bottom how it falls. You know, in worst case scenario, you can get a hammer. And I'll show you how to do that. A lot of people freak out. You know, oh, you're going to dent the hell out of the frame. Well, hit it on the corner. We're going to weld. You know, cover it right up. You'll never notice it. All right, so I'm going to try and do this kind of fast. Tripod's broken, so I kind of got to hold the camera in my hand. I wasn't set up and try and do this and film it, but that ain't going to happen. I got me a good bit of a weld right there. Got another one right there. Try to put as much heat in as I can. Knocked it right here with a hammer. Look at that. Can't even tell. And as you can see, it's already brought that down a pretty good bit. And, you know, we're just starting here. So I'm going to continue hitting this in. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer. You know, just run a bead down it. Hit it, run a bead, hit it, run a bead, and just kind of walk it down, maybe even just tacks. We'll see how it goes. All right, so we got around our spring perch. We're on the back side now, right in here. As I said earlier, started welding there, welded there, hit that in with a hammer, welded there. Actually, I tapped that in with a hammer too. And then welded there, hit that with a hammer some more. I did a little tack there, and then I hit that. And then I put a good bead all the way across the top to get some good heat in there. And then I knocked that with a hammer, put my clamp on it, and it's all folding in. Now I am doing this, you know, right after I'm welding, trying to hop back and forth as fast as possible. Yeah, you don't want to touch that. That's hot. So I'm using that heat to my advantage to help me get past these curves here, because this is kind of where it really starts getting tricky, because those are some pretty good bends. They're compound bends. You know, not only is it just bending that way, but it's also bending this way too. And then you got back-to-back bends. But as you can see, the pattern is lining up. It's still up there because that bottom needs to go in. But just take your time. I mean, you know, even if you mess up, you can back up. You know, you can make a notch in there and make it do what you want, weld it back up. You know, yeah, it's not the best in the world. You don't want to see that. You know, normally, I'll be honest, I put a notch right here. I usually do 2 pieces of metal. I do one up front, one in the back, and I put a slit right there. And then I weld it. I leave a big enough gap where I can weld to the frame and weld to the new plates. You never know, there's A-arm there. And it's not like everybody wraps a whole entire frame in one solid piece of metal. Alright, so we've worked around our corner now. Got it good and flush through there. Hit it with a hammer there. Hit it with a hammer there. You can see a little bit of hammer marks there. Got the bottom going pretty good. Now I got a gap here. We're flush up top. and there's a gap here. So now I'm gonna put my clamp somewhere down here, either in the front or the back of the A-arm, whichever works best. And I'm gonna squeeze that gap, and that should kind of help out with this here too. And then we can probably finish that off with a hammer. And now we're working our way around the bottom. See that gap starting to close up. Actually, I got it closed up now. Basically, just weld a little bit, hit it where it'll close the gap, weld a little bit, hit it where it closes the gap, just a little bit at a time. And then I got to where I can get the clamp on it and actually make a good bit of progress. So we're all fitting tight now. I'm gonna just keep working my way down. So we're moving on to the passenger side now. Got my plate there. It's pretty much the same as the driver's side. So I'm gonna just set up the camera and basically do a time lapse of it. There's really nothing extra to explain that I don't think I've already explained. But in order just to kind of finish up the video, bring you guys along for it. So if you don't want to watch it, you can end the video here. Doesn't hurt my feelings none. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the like button. But or just subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't already. I mean, come on. And you can continue to watch. So yeah, I'm gonna start bending this piece up right here, start tacking it on and burning it in. Hopefully it'll go smooth. Everything on the driver's side went pretty smooth, so I don't see any reason why this wouldn't. Pretty much same as the driver's side. Got the frame all cleaned up with a wire wheel, a flap wheel. I used a grinder rock for this top up there. I actually used the back side of the wheel. Kind of just stuck it in like that. That way I can kind of get the top of it, because there is a evap line there, which mine is not hooked up, so I don't have to worry about any fumes in there, or worry too much about any fumes in there. I guess I'm sure there's some coming from the motor, but the car's been sitting for a while, so shouldn't have any problems with fumes. But I'm gonna start bending up my template, kind of getting it somewhat pre-fitted, and start clamping it down and burning it in. There you have it. That easy. So now you know what's involved in it, pretty much from start to beginning. I'd say I got an hour. I don't even know what time it is. I didn't even look. I'd say an hour, maybe hour and a half, from the start to finish. There was many trips around the car over to the vise. This is the small side of the shop, so I got to go all the way around to bend anything up. But could have been worse. Like I said, I've gotten better at it over the years. So put the metal up there and took it down a few times, but I've done it many times before that, so I'm happy with it. Everything fit really well. I'll turn the camera around so you guys can see better. But yeah, pretty much all the holes lined up. I did go a little bit more crazy on the blue rows. I put the ABS sensors and maybe that's all it was, wheel speed sensor. There was a hole there and a hole there. I put those on the blue rows and it just destroyed them. And same thing on this car, because they had the ABS sensors and it just tore them out. And they're actually loose. I'm not gonna touch that because that's hot. But that's where it is, and it was actually loose, and it still just tore the brackets out. Tore the sensors out of the spindles. Cruise control still works. Screw it. I'm doing without them. I'll probably do without the ABS sensors on the rear too, because I've got them out and I've moved the car around the yard. I haven't driven it down the road. That may be a different story. I do know for a fact though that the ones on the front don't do anything as far as speed. So it's just ABS. Never had to lock down the wheels in the Blue Rose, so don't know there what it'll do, but you know, I'm a pretty safe driver. I keep a safe distance from everybody, mainly because I don't want my car hurt. But never had any problems with deleting the wheel speed sensors. So not putting them back on this car, plus cleaner look, no holes in the frame. Other than that, I'll let you guys take a look at it. Alright, I do still have some spots I need to weld. Like I said, I'm kind of taking a break. Everything fit up pretty well. Really can't complain. I will say, on the Blue Rose I did fit that up better. But it looks pretty good. And that top hole is just a little bit. It could have went down just a hair. You know, but I'm pretty happy with that. That's a lot better than 90% of the parcels I see. So yeah, as you guys seen, I barely used the hammer. You know, mainly hit on the edges. You got a booger there. Mainly hit on the edges and, you know, run over it with a welder, so you really don't notice them. But I'm gonna go get a drink of water, take a break, and then we'll come back in here and burn it out. And I'll be done with this part of the parcel at least. So that's how I do a parcel. I'd like to think I got it down to a pretty good science. If you do it a different way, or you know an even easier way, let me know. I'm all for doing things the easy way. Because usually I do things the hard way. Just how I roll, I guess. But yeah, that's it. Like I said before, not a hard process, just a little time consuming. Obviously, the better clamps you have, the easier the job's going to go. So keep that in mind. I've definitely used the Harbor Freight clamps. I've used them for many, many years. I've definitely used the Harbor Freight clamps. These ones here. They are good and bad. They're nice because you don't have to give a crap about them. If you have a clamp keep slipping off, you can just weld it to the frame. I've done it tons of times. I didn't actually do this one. I literally have one that's been welded on and grinded off like all the way down the shaft because I run into a problem on the Blue Rose where it kept slipping off the frame. And I said, you know what? You're not going to slip anymore. And it didn't. So yeah, good thing to have. They are cheap, so you don't really have to worry about messing them up. But the more expensive ones, you kind of get more turn for your turn, I guess. More movement for your turn. Best way of putting it. They're a lot stronger. They don't flex. The Harbor Freight ones, they do flex. I got some bows in them now. You know, they're kind of a little curved, but they still work. Like I said, the main thing is they're cheap and I can weld to them and not care. So now we got that done. Once again, like I said in the beginning of the video, I did do the belly. It is just about complete, so I will have a video on it. I did the front, the bottom. I didn't really cover the bottom a whole lot in it. I think I did the bottom in a Caprice video. Check back and see that. I've got to suck you into watching videos somehow. I also did the back. In the next video you see, well, in the video of the belly, I'm going to put it that way. I've got a lot of videos I need to upload, so it may not be the next one, but it's coming, it's coming. But yeah, that was a terrible, terrible idea. I don't really recommend that. If you have a lift, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But yeah, it was a nightmare of an idea. Don't do that. That was dumb. But it's done. So hopefully, you know, it'll add a little bit more strength because, like I said, I do plan on beating this car, and that's kind of my goal of why I'm doing so much work. Other than a full wrap, I know I should do a full wrap, but it's just so nice. I hate taking off the frame, and I would like to drive it this year. And with my history, like every car I take off the frame that's my own, kind of gets put on the back burner and never really rides again. Yeah, the Oldsmobile I took it off the frame. Like I said, that was my first car. I took it off the frame when I was like 21, 22, somewhere around there. 35 now. Still sitting. So my coupe has been taken off the frame. It was actually put back on the stock frame. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, so I didn't really want to pull off the frame because I want to drive it. And the Blue Rose went so good. As you may have seen in the video of the Blue Rose, you know, it had been a very, very long time since I had a lowrider, and that was kind of the goal, is get in, get out, and drive it. Kind of same on this deal. You know, obviously I want it the best that I can get it, but I want a realistic goal of I need to drive it. And really, in all honesty, right now is the main time I need it back on the road. I really need to throw it back together so I have a car to drive because we're out of a truck. We got some people helping us out. Our mother-in-law helped us out. You know, thank you very much. Actually, my mother-in-law and her brother, they helped us out. So we've had a vehicle to cruise for the week. My neighbor, he offered a vehicle too, which is really cool. Probably gonna have to take him up on that. Meanwhile, here I am farting around with this car, you know, like, ooh, let's paint this, let's do that, instead of just throwing it all together. Yeah. Adult decisions, I guess. Yeah, things are in the works for another vehicle. Money's kind of doing what it's supposed to do. Insurance is hopefully going to do what they're supposed to do. So hopefully I can keep progressing on this and not have to throw it all back together with raw metal. I mean, it is what it is, so we'll see. But yeah, we're done with this part for now. Next part, belly. Got the A-arm video coming up. I got a video with the Nova running. I know I said that in another video. I'm going to edit it today, I promise. So it's running, almost driving. We got a video with the Fleetwood brakes, my black Fleetwood. Still haven't got a video of my black Fleetwood, but I am working on it, I promise. Things have been hectic. So yeah, until then, hit the like button, subscribe. As I said, comment. Tell me if you know better ways, you know any easier ways around this stuff. I do appreciate info. I try and share with people what I know, but there's still a lot of stuff that I don't know, and I love learning. So, until then, we'll see you on the next one. Appreciate you watching. Bye.